What's going on, everyone? It's Brucey Sprue with the next video in my Nothing Special series where I max a main account as an average player, do as much content as possible, and make videos of my journey along the way. This video will be a guide to Grotesque Guardians. Grotesque Guardians are the Gargoyle boss variant located on top of the Mauritania Slayer Tower on the roof there. This was my first time doing a Grotesque Guardians task, and it was pretty quick to learn. The mechanics are all based around gear and prayer switches and movement. I enjoyed this boss. I thought it was alright. The fights aren't super quick, but you can camp here for a long time, and the loot is pretty decent, although the loot table from them is just not very large. GGs are a solo instance, so unfortunately you cannot fight them with friends. For the hard requirements, you'll need at least 75 Slayer to be able to be assigned a Gargoyle's task. You'll need Mauritania unlocked to be able to get to them. And you'll want a Brittle Key if it's your first time, which opens up the boss lair. And these can be obtained from regular Gargoyles on task, and you only need to do that once for unlimited access to the boss room. For the stats, you'll want at least 70s plus in your combats, as well as a minimum of 43 prayer for access to pray range and pray melee. But as always, 70 prayer for piety and 74 for rigor. If you can afford it, will help you immensely. For the gear, I will toss up the wiki recommended gear for the melee here, and you can pause and take a look at that. And the wiki for the range gear for this fight. You can pause and take a look at that if you'd like. I would say to make it easy, just bring your best range gear, your best melee gear with as many switches as you're comfortable with, and a good crush weapon. And if you don't have that, then the Fang is fine. A tent whip is what I'm using, and a regular whip works as well. So for the inventory, you'll want your switches, a teleport there, a teleport out, a rock hammer or rock throne hammer to finish them off. These can be bought from any Slayer Master, or granite hammer works as well. Combat potion and range pot, 8 super restores, and food. GGs do drop Sarah brews, they drop food, they drop combat and range pots also, and prayer pots, so enough to help keep you going during the task. And I would also bring a rune pouch with runes for high alch because they drop a decent bit of alkables. You could, I guess, bring thralls here as well if you wanted to speed up the kills. To get there, a Slayer ring to the Mauritania Slayer Tower is going to be the fastest way. If you didn't have that, you could use the CKS Ferry ring. I run from Kirill here. I have a Kirill teleport in my house. You could use a Kirill teletab, a Frankenstrain teletab, or even a Ectophile teleport to the Ectofunctus if you wanted to do that. So that is it, guys. That's it for the requirements, the gear, and how to get there. And next I will take you through the boss fight, and we can go over the loot I received from the task. Alright, I'll use the Kirill teleport in my house to run there. I get about 5 to 10 plus kills per trip, so I don't mind the short run every now and then. And I'm running out of Slayer rings and haven't made any more because I've been lazy, so that's why I'm doing this method. You will see me periodically toggle my run on and off a bit. Most of the fight you're standing and you will regen stamina, but you don't want to start the fight with no stamina, and you don't want to run out of stamina during the fight because there are things to be avoided. So I will run a little bit northwest to the Slayer Tower here. If you have 61 agility, you can use the spike chain to climb on up to the second floor. If not, you'll need to run around to the staircase. I'm going to climb the chain here. And then we will climb up to the third floor. And finally to the roof where the GGs are. And if this is your first time, don't forget the brittle key. Like I said, you only need to do that once for permanent access. You can get one from Gargoyles on task. So this fight has 4 phases here, and there's a lot going on, so I will be pausing throughout it. The first thing is we're gonna ring the bell to start the fight. If you have under 5 kills here, there's gonna be a cutscene for some reason. After 5 kills, that goes away. But you will see some tile markers I have on the ground there on the northern part of that wall and the eastern part of that wall, and then one kind of out in the open. And the first phase of this fight, you're getting attacked by Dusk and Dawn, but you can only damage Dawn. Dusk is going to be guarding himself. So we'll want to pray range here against Dawn, and that will avoid all of the damage we would take from her. And then we're also going to do this dancing method with these tiles to avoid the damage we take from Dusk. So I started the fight, I pray range on, I'm ranging Dawn, Dusk is going to come up, and I'm going to want to walk out into the open here to try and get him stuck, and that way it will avoid his melee damage. So he's unable to attack you, and we can just continue ranging Dawn. Now, Dawn does have a magic attack that she sends out, and it can freeze you. It is a gray stone ball, and it can stun you for 5 seconds and hit up to a 15. This mechanic isn't bad on its own, but it can cause problems with some of the others if not avoided. So you want to stand at least 2 tiles away from that to avoid being stunned. So you may need to move around multiple times here. Like Dusk is on me now, I'll just have to reset and go back to help try and avoid his damage. And once we've ranged Dawn to about 50% health, she's going to fly away, and phase 2 is going to begin. So we're going to want to swap to our melee gear here and pray against melee. And Dusk is going to do 2 things. He's going to spawn falling rocks, and he's also going to explode, which can knock us back. So these falling rocks, if they hit you, they can stun you and deal up to 22 damage. To avoid those, we'll need to be at least 2 tiles away. And then you can see there, when he lights up, usually after about 2 hits on him, he's going to explode, and he will knock you back, and that can deal up to about 40 damage, I think. And you'll need to be standing at least 2 tiles away from Dusk to avoid that. So these things can happen multiple times during this phase, and the damage from that can stack as well. And also during this phase, and during the last phase, walking underneath Dusk can get you trampled, and he can hit you with a 30 to a 40 with that. So never walk underneath him. And we'll continue to melee him down to 50% health, avoid the rocks, and once he's at 50% health, Dawn is going to return, and this will begin phase 3. And they're going to both summon lights on the floor, as you can see here. You need to be at least 2 tiles away from all of these lights to avoid damage. They do hit at about 5 to 10 per tick per light that you are near, and they only last for about 5 seconds, so you'll just want to get out of the way of all of those, and then you can go and range Dawn. So you'll throw your ranged gear back on. You'll keep Protect from Melee on because Dusk will be hitting you, and you will start to range Dawn for the beginning of phase 3. She will then throw out 3 of these energy spheres you see here on the ground, and if those aren't picked up, each one of those will heal her for 90 each. So unless you have very good DPS, I recommend just picking them all up as soon as you can to avoid her healing and have the fight go even longer. So you'll see me pick up the energy spheres, and we're going to go back to ranging Dawn to finish her off. And this is typically where I will blow pipes back to get some health back, to not use food, and get a little bit of extra DPS out. Once you've killed Dawn, the last phase begins. So you're going to want to swap to your melee gear here. You're going to keep Protect from Melee on, and Dusk is going to send you into this stone prison. So for this, one edge is always going to have a missing tile you can run out from. If the prison is right next to a wall, just stand on that missing tile to avoid taking damage. You only have a couple ticks to get out of the middle before it will explode with fire. It will catch on fire, and then and you'll take some big damage there. So I think up to like 40 damage. So you'll just want to run out and avoid that and go back to meleeing Dusk here. And he does have 2 attack forms, so you can see that he just launched out 2 purple balls at me. And he has a range attack, which is what that is, and is just regular melee attack. So whichever attack he does, it's best to pray against the attack that he just used, because he has the highest chance of just repeating that attack. He doesn't always do this, but it's most likely the case. So he's going to range you. You just pray range on until he melees, and then you swap to pray melee. But that's it for this last part of the fight. He can send you into that prison multiple times, so be aware of that. And he does have the trample mechanic for the last phase as well. So if you walk underneath him, you can take some damage, so do not do that. But that is it for the kill. It's a lot to take in for a somewhat quick kill, but every single mechanic there is just moving out of the way or switching gear or switching prayers. And you know, you start the fight, you get Dawn down to half, you dodge some stuff. You get Dusk down to half, you dodge some stuff. You kill Dawn, you dodge some stuff, you kill Dusk. After about 5 kills or so, you'll get it, I promise. Now, though, we will meet at the GE and we can go over the loot I received from the task. Okay, 167 Grotesque Guardians killed. We'll really double that. But loot from 167 GGs and 8 mil total loot received. This is including the drops from the crystal chest. The drop table isn't huge here. The best drops for me this task were the Addy bars, rune alchables, big coin drops, ores and bars. I did get 2 granite mauls, 2 dragon longs, and a dragon medium helm, which were just nice to see as drops. They're not super valuable or anything. And then just some bolt tips, Sarah brews, potions, food, and of course the granite dust, which I learned makes your cannonballs hit a little bit harder. So I did sell everything except for the runes and the potions, bringing us to a little over 7 mil for the total loot made, and this is including the loot from the crystal chests I have up on the screen there. So there are no collection log items this task, but that is alright because I will have a reason to go back. So as far as my maxing journey goes, there have been some serious gains made with 10 total levels gained since the last video. I got a ranged and hit points level from that last task, and I was able to grind out 2 construction levels as well, bringing me to 82. I got 90 attack and 91 mage over the last couple days through General Slayer, which I leveled to 90 yesterday morning, and I have slowly grinded 84 woodcutting, 75 herb, and 93 cooking because they were all pretty close to leveling anyways. So there are some big gains, especially for the combats, and I am 2k XP away from 78 prayer as well. So that's going to be it for that. I'm going to continue grinding out Slayer, hopefully get the last 2 construction levels, bring me to 84 so I can finally max my house. And then I will start debating going for 77 rune crafting and maybe finish off my fishing skill cape or start on crafting or something. But that will be it for this video, everyone. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. Peace.